Hey guys, Hailey Lain aka Key Black here, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Cuff. Today I kind of want to continue along the same vein as the last episode where I talked about Giant Robo, and today I want to talk about a show called Tetsujin 28. This is another show that Jess and Monpian actually covered in their Cinema Aficiona panel for Anime That Lasts. Jess showed me this show after having shown me Giant Robo, so at this point I'm just like, you know what? Any series you recommend to me, I'm gonna take at face value as one of the best damn things I'm ever gonna watch. Yes, please, give me more recommendations. And this is while I was still living in Australia as well. She was living in Korea. She was stationed there in the Navy at that point. She had a 4-day weekend ahead of her. She was like, dude, I could travel to visit you this weekend if you want. And I went, oh my god, yes, please. Mind you, at the time I was living like a college student. Worse than, I had basically a completely empty apartment that I was splitting with one other person. I was like, I'm gonna get you an air mattress. It's gonna be great. I wasn't self-aware enough to realize that I had basically just invited her to empty room plus sofa. She was kind enough not to call me out on it at the time, but looking back, I can't help but cringe. It was bad. But nonetheless, we had a great time that weekend. We went to go do karaoke, we had dinner with a couple of people from my work, invited some folks over to watch Giant Robo. It was a blast. And then on Sunday, we didn't really have any plans, so we decided to watch the DVD that Jess had brought over, Tetsujin number 28. The name translates roughly to Iron Man 28, and it's another series that Jess mentioned was originally written by Mitsuteru Okuyama, and also like Giant Robo, was directed by a man named Yasuhiro Imagawa. I have since learned that Imagawa is basically a legend in the anime industry as one of the directors who's done some of the best anime of all time. I still haven't watched enough of his stuff. I've seen Giant Robo, Tetsujin 28, Gao Gaigar, a little bit of G Gundam. Apparently he was involved in the first season of Escaflowne, but I don't want to get too off track. Basically, this director's incredible. And this was but the second anime that Jess showed me he worked on. So at this time, I'm still high off the fact that Giant Robo basically completely changed my life in a single night, and I'm just like, yes, I absolutely want to watch more of his stuff. I think we burned through the entire first DVD of that box set in a single day. We basically just binged, I think it was half the series. I could not get enough of this show. The main plot is very different from Giant Robo in that, you know, it's not like teams of good guys versus bad guys, it's more in the gray area. Jess could tell you all about like the historical setting of it, the fact that it's in post-war Japan and all that stuff, but, you know, I'm an American watching it, I don't know my Japanese history, and so I'm learning some of the context of the show as it was originally written, while also just experiencing each individual plot line as they come. There's an overarching story, but most of the episodes are one-offs or self-contained. And those self-contained stories are some of the most incredibly honest, sincere stories about humanity as a whole, that I've ever seen, like, shown in anything. The main character of Tetsujin 28 is actually a lot like the main character of Giant Robo. His name is, this time, Shotaro Kaneda. He also pilots a giant robot. This one's named Tetsujin 28, that was also created by his father. I am gonna have to dip into spoilers a little bit here because I was delighted to find one of my favorite characters from Giant Robo also made an appearance in Tetsujin 28. This character was the super spy named Kenji Murasame. In Giant Robo, he had the superpower of basically being immortal. He couldn't be killed. In Tetsujin 28, he's a much different character. He's less mature, he's a little bit more headstrong and hot-headed, and he has a lot of personal resentment pent up after having served in the war for Japan. He believes that all weapons are inherently evil and anybody who uses them are therefore also evil. And he butts heads a lot with the main character Shotaro, because he considers Tetsujin 28 to be one of the greatest weapons of all time, and indeed it was created to be a weapon of war. So they're butting heads a lot throughout the series. It's some fantastic character interactions between them. He basically tries to continuously convince Shotaro that, like, hey kid, the more you use this weapon, the more you're helping out the evil in the world. Why don't you just, like, give it up? Hell, I'll sell it on the black market to the Americans. Let it be their problem and not Japan's anymore. He's kind of an asshole, but he's a really likable character, and he serves in really great stark contrast to Shotaro Kaneda, who is a very mature young boy who's had to grow up very quickly after he lost his father in the war. And Shotaro's whole struggle in the story is that he's trying to reconcile his love for his father with the fact that he doesn't remember his father, with the fact that his father served in the war, but he was also remembered as a really great person. Like, which is it? And he's trying to continuously not fall into the trap of thinking in black and white. I don't want to spoil when it actually happens in the series because I highly recommend you guys go check this out for yourselves. But there's this moment in the series where this conflict between these two characters comes to a head, and Murasame makes one of the coolest decisions that I have ever seen any character make regarding their own internal turmoil. I get hyped just thinking about it. I have a huge crush on Murasame, if you couldn't tell. He was the coolest character in Giant Robo, and I think he's one of the coolest in Tetsujin 28. The series ends with kind of this overarching plot that had been building up since the beginning, and it's just, again, some of the most heartfelt storytelling that I have had the pleasure of seeing. I found a lot of the messages in it hit home pretty hard. When Jess had to go home, we did finish watching it together over Discord, and I have just some really, really fond memories of watching that for the first time, and I need to go back and rewatch it again because it is just absolutely fantastic. So I hope you guys go check it out, and if you do, let me know what you think about it. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut the episode off there, guys. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I'll see you next time.